Welcome back to the channel, folks. This is Jason, certified financial planner and host of Fighting Words Financial. Today, I'm going to talk about a company that might seem a little bit off the beaten path from my channel, but I assure you that it's not. Also, it might seem like there's a political angle to this. I'm not actually covering this because there's a political angle to it. I'm covering it because the political winds are behind this company, and it's worth exploring a company that I think has growth in its future. So it's not a secret to say in 2020 that policing was on the minds of a lot of people, and a large number of U.S. residents are uneasy about interactions between the public and police regarding their safety, as well as concerns for the officers themselves that are trying to enforce laws and protect us. So there's one company out there that's looking to provide solutions for our police and law enforcement, and that company is Axon, which trades on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol AXON. Axon is based out of Scottsdale, Arizona, and was founded in 1993 by a gentleman named Patrick W. Smith. The company provides a wide array of solutions, both in hardware and software. They target both military and law enforcement agencies with technological products and different weapon solutions, and initially went public in 2001. At the time of this video, the current price of Axon is sitting right around $155 a share and a market cap of right around $10 billion. However, in February, when tech stocks kind of hit their peak, Axon had reached an all-time high of $212.37 before that bull market turned red. And although I don't like to base any of my investment decisions off of analyst reports, on MarketBeat, current analysts covering the stock, 4 of those analysts have a buy rating, 3 of them have a hold rating, and 0 strong sells. While this company has been covered on news channels quite a bit, such as CNBC, I actually see pretty limited coverage on YouTube. I'm not sure why that is exactly, and especially I see limited coverage from channels that would normally cover technology stocks. So I'm kind of surprised because many people are missing the fact that this company is a technology company. It has a lot more depth to it and is very much a technology play with their virtual reality and artificial intelligence integration within their product lineup and their product and their solutions. So I'm going to start by going over some of the history of this company, just kind of give a brief overview. And as usual, I'm going to give you guys my unbiased opinion, no hype opinion, at least I hope it's unbiased, on Axon. So if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so. Like this video for the YouTube algorithm. And if you've never checked out my Patreon, it's only $5 a month. There's a lot of really smart people on there that can help you get your investment knowledge to that next level. So who is Axon and what is their history? Axon's mission essentially is to protect life. It's as simple as that and nothing else. That includes our police forces, law enforcement, military, and civilians. And as you can likely imagine, there's an incredibly large market for this industry, as it involves every citizen around the world who interacts with some sort of law enforcement or public safety scenario. So Axon really has this two-pronged vision. Number one is to triple the time that officers can spend serving their communities by automating the burden of paperwork. And number two, providing officers a safer option to more traditional modes of force. Now, if you're a longtime subscriber to my channel, then you've noticed my obsession with technology, and more specifically in the metaverse lately in the artificial intelligence space. So who would have guessed that I'd cover another company in this space, right? So what products and solutions do Axon offer? Or does Axon offer? Actually, Axon offers multiple products and multiple solutions. They have smart weapons, cameras, software, VR training, and different types of product bundles. For smart weapons, Axon offers their TASER products, and they have a whole line of products developed to this sort of weapons technology. They released this quite some time ago, and this is one of the first products that Axon ever released. And the company complains that their tasers outperform any other tasers on the market right now because they have this sort of spiral dart that flies straighter and faster with nearly double the kinetic energy, enabling it to pierce loose and hanging clothing. So I don't know enough about tasers to actually verify whether these claims are true. You have to accept them on the surface level, or at least on the advice of people that you know that use these products. So as for cameras, Axon offers body cameras, which of course are very topical in this moment. They offer in-car cameras. They offer drones used for military purposes and now for law enforcement purposes. Axon's body-worn cameras are used by more law enforcement agencies than any other brand in the world. And I'm going to put a link in the description that'll kind of lead you to that article where I got that information from. Now, Axon drones are a very interesting concept, and I haven't seen a ton of that used in law enforcement applications as of yet. Other than the Coast Guard here in Southern California, I've actually seen Coast Guard drones being used offshore. But I'm quite familiar with the use of drones in other types of military applications. Axon plans to integrate them within the law enforcement ecosystem to provide tactical support, improve officer safety, and reconstruct scenes. As far as software goes, Axon offers multiple solutions that relate to file or cloud storage or records or evidence support, performance and metric tracking, and other related software systems. These are used to help streamline and reduce the time that law enforcement, prosecutors, and public defenders are spending on paperwork and other things like researching and analyzing documents and doing data entry. They will have more time to serve our communities that don't involve sitting behind a desk. The website that Axon uses is actually found on another website called evidence.com. Apparently, this is something about law enforcement that I knew almost nothing about. There's a lot of different law enforcement agencies that use evidence.com and have different sort of cloud-based systems out there that communicate with each other. I think this is a very separate and interesting topic that I haven't explored yet, that I kind of discovered while I was investigating this. So I'm very interested in that. I'm going to cover some of that in the future as well. I think most excitingly, though, Axon offers virtual reality training for police and law enforcement. And here's where my interest in this company really kind of started. So how does this work? Virtual reality training assists law enforcement officers for very specific scenarios. Imagine that you're playing Grand Theft Auto, but rather you're kind of wearing a VR headset and you're able to interact with that video game like it's a real law enforcement scenario, or you're on the other side of that scenario and you're the actual thief. This provides incredible value for those who are being trained in law enforcement scenarios, as they can create incredibly intense situations that are potentially really hard to recreate in the actual real world. While in VR, there are all kinds of tips, instructions, and insights on how to prepare and interact and improve your reactions to different types of situations. These types of situations are also remotely available for you to prepare and study for in the comfort of your own home, reducing the cost of training scenarios for law enforcement agencies all around the world. This is the part of this company that I actually find to be kind of most exciting. So now, as most of you know already, the entire world has gone digital due to the pandemic. Learning, universities, and other educational practices have turned to virtual and remote scenarios. Axon is going to benefit from this, as they can provide VR simulations for those training to join a police force worldwide. This allows them to access essentially any market, anywhere, as long as they have access to a VR headset. And also, as many of you already know, there is a push to strengthen and modernize the U.S. criminal justice system. We need to reduce the number of people we have incarcerated, while at the same time reduce crime. We also need to reduce class-based disparities in how the law is enforced. Axon is not just engaged with law enforcement in the United States. And I took this directly from Axon's website. Today, more than 17,000 law enforcement agencies in more than 100 plus countries around the world are part of this Axon network. So Axon's got to have some competition, right? So who do they compete against? It wasn't really obvious when I was doing my initial research, but the most notable competitor for Axon in this space is actually Motorola Solutions. It's not exactly the company that produced, the world's first really recognizable, mobile phone. And Motorola, the name, is likely a much more well-known company than Axon because they produced that first recognizable mobile phone brand. But Motorola Solutions and Motorola Mobility are actually two separate entities since splitting in 2011. Motorola Solutions currently sits around a market cap of about $35 billion compared to Axon's $10 billion. It's not really entirely appropriate to compare them directly, based on market caps or anything like that, or even what their product line is. Axon is primarily focused on weapons and public safety solutions, while Motorola has multiple business lines and other business units, bringing revenues, a lot of revenues that are outside of the realm of public safety. Now, I wanted to briefly touch on Axon's financials here. Axon just reported earnings on May 6th, and they appear to have fairly healthy financials. In 2020, the company had roughly $681 million in revenues, which was up 26% from the prior year. The chief financial officer, Jawad Hassan, said in the most recent earnings call, for 2021, we're raising our revenue guidance by about $40 million at the midpoint to roughly $800 million for the entire year. In 2020, our early view of the year anticipates that we'll deliver approximately $920 million in revenue. So they are expecting to have significant revenue growth. They interestingly also spoke about some interesting strategic investments that they have in a company called Cellbrite, which is a $90 million investment, and Rapid SOS, which was another $20 million investment they made in Q1 of 2021. Cellbrite is a digital intelligence company, and Rapid SOS is a leader in solving tracking location issues during urgent 911 calls at call centers. So Rapid SOS is used on most iPhones in the vast majority of the United States currently for sending location during public safety events. So do I think that you should buy, hold, or sell this stock? If you guys have been watching my channel long enough, you know that I'm actually a financial planner. A financial planner can't make recommendations to buy, sell, or hold a stock via YouTube channel, right? It's just not something that you're allowed to do. But I do have a fairly positive outlook when it comes to Axon. I think that the political winds are really blowing their way, and they're going to continue to do so for many, many years. Now, I don't currently own Axon stock, and largely that's because, hey, I just can't own every stock that I want to. My wealth is not unlimited. But this is a stock that I will consider, adding to my personal portfolio at some point. Now, I don't expect hyper growth out of this company, especially in the short term, but I do see this as a constant growth stock with many years of growth ahead of it. One of the most pressing issues in 2020 was policing, and it's an issue that's not going away anytime soon. And there are a lot of solutions to many different problems that are going to be tried over the years, and Axon is going to be the company that provides a lot of those. There's clearly a market that can be focused around increasing the safety of interactions between law enforcement and civilians. And that's why Axon can come into play and really benefit heavily from this push for more safety. Axon spends a ton of money on R&D, and some of Axon's most revolutionary products are still being actively developed. But Axon is developing an entire product ecosystem for law enforcement, just like Apple and Amazon are doing for their audiences. Now, I didn't pull that comparison out of thin air. I read a CNBC article that stated that Axon was starting to look more like Apple and Amazon, and so is the future of law enforcement. The author of that article that I just quoted, Maggie Overfelt, believes that this is partially because Axon keeps bringing on a lot of individuals from these really big tech firms. And Axon offers customizable subscription-based services that are building that law enforcement ecosystem, just like Apple and Amazon are doing for their client base. And that's where that comparison comes into play. Although I think they have a pretty long road before we can call them the sort of Apple of the law enforcement industry. So I don't think that Axon's ever going to have a $1 trillion market cap like Amazon, but I do think they have the potential of growing much larger than they are today if all goes as planned, and especially if they're able to penetrate markets overseas. For now, Axon is really focused on building a wider array of products since their tasers are, make up more than 50% of their income at this point. Their products are designed to support reducing the use of force by police, which is an important solution that the U.S. is currently focused on, but other nations might be interested in as well. Once they start building a larger portfolio of products and correctly market it to different public safety and law enforcement agencies, I think that the stock from this company might actually have a really long way to run. Now, as a reminder, folks, this is not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any security. It's just my opinion. I'm just some dude on the internet. Do your own research and come to your own conclusions. If you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out my Patreon if you get a chance. And I'll see you guys next time. Leave your comments below and let me know what you think about Axon.